Well, the news has been released Monday morning that the ITC project, which of course has been looking at the Castle Mona, is no longer looking at the Castle Mona. Lawrence Skelly is with me. This is your baby. Can you bring us more information? Because obviously this has been talked about for a long time, that you're going to put a £5 million bond up sort of thing for this ITC unit. Castle Mona was obviously suggested because it was this location that they wanted. I think there's been talk about the Nunnery as well, but can you enlighten us, why have you now scrapped the Castle Mona?
Well, I think what you need to do first of all, Paul, is actually look at the strategy and the work that we've actually done. And I say we, meaning government, for the last year and a half. I've been working with the ICT industry on the Isle of Man to formulate a strategy to go forward. And we've identified very clearly that there are significant opportunities in this particular industry. And we are underperforming in terms of GDP, and we have a very serious skill shortage in this area, and that's why we as government went behind and supported the Manx Education Foundation to create an ICT university, so we could train people right here on the Isle of Man that would give us the jobs for the future here on the island. I can confirm that the Castle Mona is no longer an option, and that was explored, and for various reasons that will no longer be pursued. As a result, we are exploring other options, and one of those options would be the Nunnery, and that is being considered.
And is this still the same group of people who were interested from the word go on this?
Yes, yes, and it's very important to recognise the Manx Education Foundation is a charity, MEF as they go by, and they are really set up to promote the Centre of Excellence for ICT, therefore the training. So we are looking at a number of options, and we're working with our colleagues in education to try and find a solution to bring the academic need along with the business need to merge those two together.
Let me push you a bit then on this Castle Mona and the reasons. What can you tell us in the public domain then, obviously, because obviously there'll be confidentiality clauses, I've no doubt on this thing, but there must be something that you can tell us that it's now off the agenda, and it's so definitely it's off the agenda.
It's really not our decision, not government's decision to do that. Really it was the Manx Education Foundation determined that that was not the right site. And I think there's a lot of complications with the existing site in its current state, the cost to rebuild and refurbish, and as I say, there have been a whole raft of options that have been looked at, even brand new builds, for example, because do you start afresh? So this is a decision made by the Manx Education Foundation.
Okay. So the Nunnery is your next choice now? Well,
I think it's important to recognise that you have with the Nunnery already you have basically planning for education facilities there. So therefore you're already on a very good footing as an option. Of course there are existing courses operated out of the Nunnery. Could they actually be moved? We don't know. And so there's a lot of question marks to be determined there.
I mean, are you talking about new builds on the Nunnery then, or just taking the unit as it is?
It's got it is an existing facility, and it is obviously used for education facility options right now. So could this be adapted? And that's one of the questions we're looking at and talking with our colleagues in education.
Can we just briefly talk about this thing in general then? I mean, what does it bring to the Isle of Man? This is remote learning, isn't it? A lot of this.
Well, a very good question, to be honest with you, because again, going back to the strategy that we've actually put together with regards to this industry, we recognise that ICT for a very long time has not really been recognised. We've all heard about e-gaming, but ICT underpins a whole raft of different industries on the Isle of Man. There's over 1,200 jobs in ICT, contributing over 100 million to our GDP. The average salary is £30,000. Now we believe in the strategy and the growth opportunities there, we can achieve 400 to 500 jobs in the next 4 to 5 years. But the problem is it's a skill shortage. In the UK, there are over 100,000 jobs available in ICT. One local agency here, right here on the Isle of Man, has over 67 jobs. £30,000 a year average salary. You can imagine the payback on that with regards to taxes and benefit to the economy. So that's why we, particularly economic development, want to try and accelerate that growth, and we are working with our other colleagues in Treasury and so forth to try and support and fund that acceleration.
And MEF is the only way forward. I mean, you're not going to do your own thing. You're going to work with partners, you know.
We do. What we have to do is we have to bring, there's obviously a very clear business need and an opportunity. What we need to do is actually really marry the academic foundation with that business need. And that's where the ICT university concept is born.
And it'll bring lots of people to live in the Isle of Man doing courses as well. Is this your sort of...
It's a twofold benefit there, and it's a very good point, because you've got your local population and an opportunity to learn here on the Isle of Man. And we all know with regards to the issue of having to pay for education going off the Isle of Man, etc. But you now have that opportunity to learn right here on the Isle of Man if we can realise this. But we also have the opportunity for an import for students to the Isle of Man, and that will add to the economy.
So you break the news on Monday morning that this is now your preferred choice, the Nunnery, yes? And no more to do with the Castle Moulton. But what time scale as well? When is this actually going to materialise?
Well, I can say that the Castle Moulton is definitely dead. However, the Nunnery is one of several options being considered. That's all I could really say. Again, it's really about us government being the facilitator and the support that the Manx Education Foundation are trying to bring forward. So it's up to them to determine what is the best site, and we will try and find the best way to support them.
Timescale?
I couldn't really say. It's all about academic years at the end of the day. So you would have to look at the September the following.
And you're still offering this £5 million bond, are you?
Well, there's various ways that we can offer support. You know, when you've got the Nunnery, there's a possibility in kind, and when you've got other, there are other opportunities there for, I think, government to support this. It doesn't necessarily have to be a cash upfront deal.
But that bond is there for if I mean, you've already gone down that route of saying it was going to be.
It was there, and if we have another business proposition put to us, then we would need to reconsider that. But I would just want to say that, particularly from economic development's point of view, we are still very supportive of this initiative because we see this as a great opportunity for jobs for the future.